Hello, and welcome to a beginner yoga workout. Yoga is defined as the union of the mind, the body, and the breath. So that is why oftentimes you see people starting in this kind of position, and it's in many different forms, whether they're standing on all fours, meaning hands and knees, or sitting. So as we're in our starting position, connecting hands together at your heart center, it's a great way to help start your focus on blending the mind, the body with the breath. Oftentimes people also close their eyes just to help enhance that connection. And just start by trying to slow down your breath. Noticing every inhale and exhale. Breathing is yoga, so focusing on your breath is doing yoga. Just feel your belly go out as you inhale and back down as you exhale. So we spend time on several rounds of our breathing just to help make sure we're nice and calm. Let's take 2 more slow, deep breaths in and out. And 1 more. As you exhale, slowly open up your eyes, stay tall, and just release your arms down by your side. Standing is also called mountain pose because we're representing a nice tall mountain. All yoga poses are named after something in nature or an animal, something that it looks like. There's an infinite number of different poses. They can be held for just maybe half a breath or 1 breath, or they can be held for several breaths, depending on what the goal is. I like to teach yoga and work on 4 main things: strength, flexibility, coordination, and balance. So you'll see a little bit of all that throughout our different poses today. And I also like to think about doing poses that move the spine in all 3 ways. That's forward, back, side to side, and the 3rd way is twisting. So you'll see different poses to work on all of that. So the first thing we're going to do is called the sun salutation. Make sure you're at the front of your mat. This salutation is very common and allows for lots of spine flexion and extension. And it's a great way to help warm up, coming from high to low, meaning onto our mats, and then back up to high. So with your next exhale, release your arms down by your side, and then take a nice inhale, bringing the arms up and coming into what's called a standing back bend if you can arch. Otherwise, you can just remain tall. All these poses have modifications. And with your next exhale, we're going to come into forward fold. So this is our first inverted pose, meaning the head is lower than the heart, which helps to improve blood flow into the brain. Getting more oxygen there, keeping us more awake and alert, preventing headaches, migraines, things like that. And it also provides a nice stretch for the hamstrings. Go ahead and release your neck, looking back at your knees. And with your next exhale, let's go ahead and take 1 leg and step all the way back into a nice low lunge. And if it takes more than 1 step to do this, that's fine. You can work your way into it. And then once you're here, just going to relax that knee and the top of your foot to the mat. And make sure that that front knee is over your heel and behind your toes, just for safety for that knee joint. With your next inhale, tuck your back toes under, and then push into your hands as you lift that knee off the mat and come into what's called downward dog. Now you don't have to move, but just so you can see what I'm doing more clearly, I'm going to turn sideways, and I want you to think about pushing into the heels of your hands, the part right by your wrist, trying to extend your back and bring your head in between your arms. You want to go ahead and push your heels down to get a nice stretch in your calves all the way down the back of the lower leg. Feet can be closer together or further apart, and you can also relax your neck once again like you did in standing forward fold. Feel that blood flow to the head. I'm just turning back into the position I started in. So with your next inhale, we want to lower those hips and bring the shoulders over the hands into plank pose. And as you exhale next, you want to lower down in as straight of a line as you can. And then inhale, pushing into the floor, extending those arms into cobra. The top of my toes are relaxed on the mat and I'm getting a great back stretch. And it also helps to strengthen your back just holding this position. As always, modify to where it feels more comfortable, whether that's bending the elbows or even resting on your forearms in what's called Sphinx pose. So the modification is actually a different pose as well. And then from here, we'll go in reverse order, mostly back to our starting position. So I'm tucking my toes under so I can easily push back up into that downward dog. Fingers spread wide. Now I'm going to step forward with that leg I stepped back with, drop my back knee to the floor and bring the top of my toes to the mat, and double check my alignment while I'm stretching that back hip flexor muscle. My front knee is behind my toes and mostly above my heel as I get this nice low lunge stretch, again for that hip flexor. For my next inhale, I want to tuck my toes under and step forward into standing forward fold, relaxing my neck, feeling the increased blood flow. And on my inhale, chin to chest, slowly rolling up, reaching up, back into that standing back bend. Exhale, hands together. Good. And you can go ahead and just relax those arms by your side, take a few marching steps. So with yoga, there's rarely a warm-up as seen in traditional cardio classes or strength classes, but the movements themselves do help to warm you up. That's why I said sometimes you can stay in a pose for very few breaths, or sometimes you can move a little bit more quickly from one pose to the other, or you can stay in poses for longer just to feel that deeper stretch. The longer we're in a pose, the more we're working on that flexibility and getting a deeper stretch. We're gonna go through this one more time, and we'll go through bringing our other leg back first, and we'll go through a little bit more fluidly this time, just so you can see more of a flow. So as you inhale, bring hands to heart center. Take one good breath in and out. Take another inhale. Exhale, release the arms by your side, staying tall with the spine. Inhale, reach those arms up. Standing back bend. Exhale, forward fold. Keep those legs straight, release the neck. Take an inhale, shifting over, bringing that foot all the way back. Hands on each side of your foot, feeling that hip flexor stretch. Next inhale, tucking those back toes under, weight on your hands and your back foot as you step back into that downward dog, releasing the neck once again, pushing those heels down, pushing the head between the arms into the heels of those hands, and then inhale into plank. Exhale, lower down. Our goal is in one straight line. It's very common just starting out to come from that plank into hips and then just almost like a roll down. But as you get stronger, you'll be able to come down in one straight line more evenly. With your next inhale, let's come up into that cobra. Exhale, bend the elbows, lower down. Inhale, back into plank, then downward dog. First time through, I skipped the plank, I just went right back into downward dog. And then with your next inhale, let's go ahead and bring the other foot forward, dropping that back knee down, top of your foot to the mat. Feel the hip flexor stretch. Inhale, tucking the back toes under, stepping forward. Exhale here. Inhale, rolling up chin to chest, stretch and reach those arms. Exhale, hands together at heart center. With your next exhale, just release those arms down. Sometimes our clothes get a little bunched up too from all that stretching and moving up and down. So just go ahead and just adjust your clothing too. I know a lot of people like to do that. So that again was our sun salutation, a very common, nice starting pose. From there, I want to move into what's called the moon salutation. So I'm just taking my mat to place it the other way. Instead of the long way, I now have it the wide way, and I want to start right in the middle. So this one happens to have twice as many poses as our sun salutation, but it's a great series of poses to move that spine side to side. We start and end in the same position as we do the sun salutation, hands at heart center. Then let's take 2 breaths here. Hopefully you've adjusted your mat or towel with me. With the second exhale, let's drop those arms down by your side, rotate the wrists so palms face away from your body. Inhale, reach the arms up on the side. Feel all those back muscles working to lift those arms up. Exhale, bending over. This is called half moon. Once again, you can bring your feet closer together. It's always a little more challenging to have feet closer together for your base of support, or if you need more of a base of support, then go ahead and bring your feet a little bit wider. And you can also drop one hand down for a little more support. Inhale, reach up. Exhale to the other side. Feeling that nice stretch. I like to over-exaggerate this stretch by bringing my hips opposite of my hands. Inhale, reach up. We're going to exhale. We're going to step out to the side, nice and wide, bending knees and elbows. This is called victory squat. I always challenge people jokingly that you can just throw this out anytime you win something, because a lot of people don't know what it is. It's not a very common pose in yoga, not for any reason. Just the moon salutation is used typically a lot less in my findings than the sun salutation. But you know, you win a board game, you win a round of golf, victory pose. Great strengthener. Hopefully you can feel that for your quads. And just a nice balanced pose here. On your inhale, extend arms and legs. And then we're going to turn our toes to the outside toward the end of our mat, and your other toes angled in slightly with your arms parallel with the floor. Take one more inhale, starting to extend that reach over those toes. As you exhale, we're going to tip over and make a triangle with our body. So you can modify nice and high for this and the next few poses, or you can come on down a little bit lower, your ankle, your foot, or even fingers in front of your foot. I'm not teaching with any props today, but a yoga block is a very popular prop that people oftentimes like to lean their hand on right here to balance on. So if you have anything similar, it looks literally like a brick, but it's hard, made with hard foam or cork typically. Then you may rest on something or bring something over. I just wanted to keep these poses simple enough with modifications that you wouldn't need a prop. So again, if you need to come up higher, that's fine. Notice the stretch in your inner thigh or adductor muscles and your hamstrings. With your next exhale, let's take this hand that's been up and twist it down, rotating toward that leg. You'll notice some of the twisting poses throughout the moon salutation poses that we're typically moving side to side with that spine. But this is an example of where we are getting a little bit of a twist in, and we'll do more later on. So turning your head toward your knee, feeling just more now of an isolated hamstring stretch. Legs should be straight, but modify with some soft knees if you need to. On your exhale, extend that back leg all the way out. And now we have low lunge, just the same as we had in the sun salutation. Hands on each side of your foot. Feel that hip flexor stretch once again. And then inhale, bringing hands in front of that foot, coming up. So we have a 90-degree bent knee here and an extended leg here. Now you should feel the inner thigh and hip flexor stretch on this leg. With your next exhale, walk those hands to center, bending both knees. Now you can stay balanced while you're feeling both hip flexors and inner thighs getting stretched here on your hands and feet, or you can stay just on your feet, bringing hands to heart center, sinking those hips down, elbows above the knees. Now we'll work our way in reverse order back to the beginning, working toward the other side. So with your next exhale, drop those hands back down if you lifted them and walk it across to the other side. You can stay on your toes, or you can lift those toes up on this extended leg. Still trying to maintain some slow breathing, deep breathing. With your next exhale, let's turn to face the short end of our mat while coming into a low lunge here. And with your next inhale, tuck those toes under, extend both legs, head to knee pose. And then with your next inhale, let's raise that arm up in front, triangle on this side, modify by coming up higher, just a reminder. And now with your next inhale, let's lift the entire upper body upright, lots of core strength, and pivot on your heels to turn your toes forward. This is our star pose. Exhale into that victory squat. And with your next inhale, step your foot together. Exhaling over, half moon to this side. Again, I bring my hips to the opposite side of my hands to enhance that full side stretch. Inhaling, reaching up. Exhale, stretch it over to the other side. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands down to heart center. Good. Release those arms down on your next exhale. Coming back to the center of your mat if you got off a little bit like I did. And before we come down to a different position, let's just do some gentle twists. So with these, we want to stay as nice and tall with the top of the head as possible, and just let your arms swing gently side to side. Hopefully there's nothing around you that you can swing into. My knees are soft. Just a nice gentle twist for all those muscles in the spine. Good. One more each way. Good. Now we're going to go ahead and bring it down to another very popular position, hands and knees, or all fours as I said earlier. So you want to line up, hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips. I'm just turning sideways so you can hopefully see me better. And from here we'll do a very popular cat-cow pose to stretch that spine. So as you inhale, I want you to arch and look up, dropping the belly. On your exhale, round that back and drop your head. Inhale, arch and look up. Exhale, drop your head and round. Let's do two more. And last one. With your next inhale, come into just what's called neutral spine, which is a nice flat back or position where your back is parallel with the floor. So now we'll come into a seated position, another very common position to be in. And you can sit with your legs crossed however it's comfortable. If you're not flexible, you can bring your legs either further out in front of you, or you can straighten your legs all together, or you can sit on a little pillow. So I happen to have a little yoga pillow that I picked up from Body and Soul a few months ago. And it really does help if you have tight hips to stay in a seated position longer or at all. So that's another option for you. But I just want us to do a seated twist and hold the stretch this time to honor that third way of moving our spine. So whether your legs are crossed or straight, let's go ahead and take an inhale up. And we're going to twist and bring your hand to the opposite knee with your other hand coming behind your back. So if your legs are extended out in front of you, you can still do this, or you can bring your hand up by your hip, whatever's comfortable. But like we were twisting dynamically when we were standing, let's go ahead and try to keep that upper body nice and tall. Top of your head reaching toward the ceiling. With your next inhale, let's come back to center. Raise those arms up and bring the other hand to the opposite knee, arm behind you. Hold your twist. then with your next inhale, raise it up. And exhale those arms down. We're gonna come onto our back now. And we're gonna hold our knees in as you come down and circle those ankles. And the other direction. With your next exhale, release those knees and extend your body fully, and then just lay with your palms up. I'm going to come up to a sitting position just so I can continue to talk with you, but I want you to stay laying down, and I want you to stay laying down for about the next 5 or 10 minutes on your own. So for time, I'm going to go ahead and bring this video to a close pretty soon. But the laying down posture is where all that you just did, all those different movements with your body, that's where everything comes together. It's also a great practice of stillness, especially if you're a restless person or someone who doesn't sit and meditate or be still a lot throughout your day. It just really helps to calm everything down. Children are especially vulnerable to being more restless, so this is a really good practice for children. So when you're done, you can slowly work your way back up to a sitting position. It's very important because things like your adrenaline tends to pool in the lower part of your body where you're laying, and so we want that to be reabsorbed by the body very slowly and naturally. So we just come out of that laying down position very slowly, very gently, and we come back up to a comfortable sitting position, one like we were just in, and then we finish with 3 breaths. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And you can always come back to the video when you're done relaxing to watch the breaths. But raising up those arms helps to open up the core to let more oxygen in, especially the area around your heart and lungs, obviously. On our 3rd one, before we come down, we're going to bring those palms together and finish in our salutation position or prayer hand pose position. And we're going to bow and say a word, a Sanskrit word that means some different interpretations. All of the light, goodness, or light of God in me is recognizing that in you. So as we say this to one another, we're saying it to each other with that intention. So on the count of 3, we'll bow and say Namaste. 1, 2, 3, Namaste. So again, just a great way to end class together. And then you can give yourself a hand or some pats on the back. Very good. And that is a very basic beginner class. One thing I didn't mention that's also very common is that at the beginning of class you can set what's called an intention or think about something you're grateful for. So your intention more on that is maybe about something that is on your mind, about yourself or a person or a group of people, and then maybe you want to devote your practice, as it's said, to that person, or about yourself, or to a cause, and you're just kind of holding thoughts about that person or situation, in your mind throughout the practice, and kind of wishing well toward that person or group. So that's kind of the next step, but I know we talked about a lot just in terms of connecting mind, body, breath, focus on your breathing, and just doing the poses that I did not bring that up at the beginning. So next time you do it, you can think about adding that in. So thanks for watching and have a wonderful rest of your day.